Record. So, welcome to the DIY Toy Cast. I'm your host, Gordon, here with my co-host, Brett. And tonight we have our guest. Is it Lousmer? Is that how you?
Loosemer.
Loosemer.
My name
Okay.
is Lewis, so it's
Okay. Awesome.
Loosemer is the moniker.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So can would you maybe introduce sort of the type of work that you make, where you primarily post it? Maybe tell us about a recent figure that you've been working on.
Sure. So I work almost exclusively with 3D pens. Um, I kind of pride myself on, I consider myself a bit of a purist in that, like, most of the most viral stuff you see people doing with 3D pens, they're sanding, they're using wood burning tools, they're doing all sorts of, there's a lot of other tools involved, painting and stuff, which is amazing. I don't take anything away from the like immense skill of that stuff. But I got in with 3D pens early and I really embraced like the tool itself and letting it, not trying to hide the fact that that's what it is, kind of
Mhm.
leaning into the imperfections and the sort of artist's hand being present at all times. Um, so as far as something, let's see, I'll show you the most recent figure I made. This is Meat Man.
Oh yeah.
Unreal.
So,
Unreal.
and I get people asking me like, "Oh, what's the base figure or whatever? What are you building off of? What are you using for joints?"
You're
And
literally drawing in three
I
dimensions.
mean, this was sticks of, it was a spool
Yeah.
of plastic, and I drew this. Um,
If 4D chess was an action figure, you're making
Right.
it. Like,
it,
it's unreal,
it's kind
dude.
of wild that, and almost 10, well, no, I suppose a little over 10 years on, I really haven't seen anyone else doing what I'm doing.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of because of people still haven't fully wrapped their brain around what you can do with a 3D pen. You see the most viral stuff and it is just a sculpture essentially,
Hmm.
which is cool. But thinking outside the box a little bit, like it's really as simple as make a ball, make a socket. It takes a lot of finesse and work to get it to the right tension and um, to hold pose and everything. You guys, not to get too far ahead of myself, but like you guys were talking about TPU recently, which
Yep.
Oh
like
yeah.
I was like, oh, these guys, they know what I'm talking about because that I've done stuff that's just using PLA and just using rigid plastics. You can make functional ball and socket stuff, but
Hmm.
the secret sauce is the ball is made of TPU
Right.
and the socket is made of PLA. Um, and so I actually, to go back, way to the beginning, I went to school for animation. I was sitting in
Very
class.
cool.
Yeah. Sitting in class doing 3D modeling, which like I'm a paper and pencil guy, always have
Mhm.
been. So sitting in front of the computer just wasn't really, setting off that spark for me. And I wanted to get into 3D printing.
Mhm.
Uh, really, for stop motion was kind of like where my mind was at.
That's
Uh,
super cool. Because when I see your stuff, I think of like you're making Leica puppets, like from Paranorman or Coraline or
yeah, especially
uh,
when I get a little more mixed media.
yeah.
Oh,
And
my favorite one. There he is.
yeah, I love this guy.
He's so
Um,
good, dude.
Thank you. Um, so I was sitting in class one day and saw the Kickstarter ad for the first 3D pen,
Oh wow.
and I
Okay.
was like, "There's an easy entry into 3D printing," and I fell way down that rabbit hole and have never really looked back. Even to the point where the making the stuff and the developing the technique kind of overshadowed ever animating it. I've done some animation with it, and
Mhm.
I certainly want to, but that's just such a time intensive process
Totally.
that I've just been so in love with. I mean, it's really a unique thing to have a new artistic tool and
Hmm.
to sort of like I've been riding the tip of the wave.
Hmm.
So I backed the Kickstarter. I was one of the first people to get one. And the company actually, I started a Twitter account way back before that was
Well, it was still Twitter, right?
yeah, yeah. And I was posting my stuff just to hit up the company and show them what I was doing. They reached out to me. They were in New York City. I'm in Western New York, but I was the closest person they had who was doing anything with it. So they invited me to come out. And ever since then, I've been sort of working with them, and I have created, like if you go on their website, they got tons of stencils and stuff that I've contributed to a lot of that. And really, I mean, it's funny to think about, like, if it wasn't for them, I ended up just getting a ton of material from them that allowed me to just, I mean, at this point, I have enough plastic that I, could be using it for a lifetime practically. But yeah, it was, I remember standing next to one of the guys who invented the thing at this event, and I whipped up this little Felix the cat, and he looked over and was like, "Wait, you just did that? Like, while you're standing next to me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And when I saw the look on his face and kind of realized, like, oh, I guess I'm sort of able to approach this pretty naturally. I think, I'm very sketchy in my drawing, very dimensional in 2 dimensions. So my brain was just like primed to be drawing in 3 dimensions. And yeah, I mean, this is an example before I had gotten the ball and socket stuff nailed down. This guy is basically, if this gives you a hint, is basically a G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah.
He's got a rubber
Look
band
at that, dude.
holding,
Holy shit.
and this has some I have like metal hooks in there.
Oh yeah.
So there's a rubber band that gave the tension to hold the pose on this. And at this point, I was, doing very simple, just a, simple hinge. So
Yeah.
that was, some of the early days of doing articulated stuff. I have just like a mess of my stuff in front of me here. One of the first things I did, I post on Instagram, and I just started earlier this year with TikTok. And one of the first things I did was basically I realized, if one of the things they were showing people is how you can draw in the air. You can draw a 3-dimensional cube. I took that cube, gave a couple more lines, and then put a piece through it and made 2 arms. And I was like, they moved together, but I was like, that was the initial spark of like, you don't have to just make lumps of plastic.
Right.
You can make separate pieces. And that was the start of the articulation.
And
so
then
from there,
is the pen that you're using, is it just the basic thing where it's like a hot tip and then there's a motor that feeds the filament?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, people, they caught a lot of flack in the beginning because they were using proprietary straight sticks of plastic, which ironically, and this is like where I get a little too intense about it, but like I loved that because it was 3 millimeter. It stayed hotter longer, bonded to itself a little better than now using the really small stuff.
Well, yeah, because standard filament's 1.85, so you basically had double the working time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I could go way too far in depth on like the nuance of melting plastic, and
please do. This is the format for it.
Yeah,
so
right.
get on that tear. Go ahead.
It's funny. I mean, in the first days, and it probably wasn't for the best, but they were offering PLA and ABS.
Oh wow! So even ABS.
I was all about the ABS because that you could really draw in the air, and it wasn't as brittle. You could kind of, you could bend it before it would break. So that was like, I was all in on that. And then after enough time, I think I might have killed a couple of brain cells by, doing that in the basement all the time. But, some of that stuff still holds up. Like this was some really early.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Holy cow.
I mean, and that's I think that's one of the things where ABS might have edged out PLA in the fidelity you could get with it. Like, because it cooled almost instantly, whatever you drew was like what you got.
Yeah.
And this is all done in flat pieces. That's another thing that people don't, always think of right away is like, no, the most complicated stuff is done in flat pieces and then assembled.
Well,
Um,
and you posting your videos is what really like helps me wrap my head around that
yeah,
of like you just draw like the silhouette of or like you draw a spinal column and then shape
right.
it correctly and then start building out like the shoulders or the head.
Yeah.
And I had played with a 3D pen really early on and made the like ugly plastic blobs that you talk about. But what you're doing is essentially the same thing that our printers are doing. You're
Yep.
just using your arm
Yeah.
rather than it
Infinite
mounted to it,
axes. Yeah.
right, mounted
Yeah.
to a set of motors.
Right. Um, let's see. Let's see what else I
Yeah,
can
I
show off.
behind your shoulder, you got like what looks to be an orc with a pair of shoes on and a guitar and a Knight of the Slice. That's
So
insane. Yeah, let's see
yeah.
this
So
cat.
I mean, this guy, he's a little like Stegosaurus man.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, I
This
got you.
is
I thought it was an orc. Yeah,
yeah.
that
No, it's all
rules.
good. Now you
That's way cooler.
so so this like the tail has a TPU, a flat strip of TPU
oh,
with
nice.
Hell
then
yeah.
segments of PLA attached to it to
Oh
be
my
able to do
God.
that. Um, I mean, and this is, you know, this one was an early one where I had like a thigh swivel like that. That's a that's a pain in the ass to pull off. I'll tell you, like
Oh my
um,
God.
double jointed knees and elbows. Like this was, you know, I've come to a point where I think my favorite, this is just all ball joints.
Yep.
And I
Hmm.
think that's probably like, that's my thing
Uh-huh.
where, but I still wanted to see if I could do everything your standard off the shelf, super articulated action figure could do. Um, so that like, even like this guy is, this is all ball joints, obviously, bigger scale than most of the stuff I do. But you know, like it's
Unreal.
the
He's got a double ab crunch,
yeah,
double jointed
yep,
knees.
And so what are you
Marvel Legends could never.
well, so
right,
what are you looking at when you're thinking about engineering these joints? Like Brett mentioned Marvel Legends, but like there's a lot of other stuff out there. Like what are you looking at when you're trying to figure out how joints work and like how they hold weight and stuff?
yeah. I mean, the Marvel Legends kind of is it's the most ubiquitous thing. It's I had a bunch of Hasbro, Star Wars,
Mhm.
and Marvel toys that was. I mean, there was a time where they were the leaders in articulation, and that was kind of my jumping off point of even though I had made figures that were all ball joints, I still kind of wanted to go and do everything a Marvel Legend could do with
Mhm.
thigh swivel, double jointed, knees and elbows, the bicep swivel up here, um, and yeah, I mean, so that was the stuff I was sort of looking at for reference.
Mhm.
But then you quickly realize like I don't have to be limited by anything,
Right.
like
Yeah.
so something like this, also allowing the embracing the imperfections of the medium.
Mhm.
I'm happy with this just being sort of this gray figure that I it's up to me where the bulk of things is that I can get way more than a 90-degree bend on just a ball and socket
Right.
by you know keeping the bicep area a little thinner and then keeping the cutout at the socket part a little wider there. Um, so it's yeah, I mean, I kind of just it got to a point where I've just been on my own trajectory with it.
Right.
Uh,
Once you sort of unlock a certain understanding of this stuff, it's just iterating on your own designs. You don't
yeah,
necessarily have to crib from other people
yeah,
after a certain point. And like something I love is like the proportions and like heights and scales of all your dudes are all wildly different. Like you're not just using the same buck body over and over again and putting a different head on it.
yeah. I think that speaks to my like just getting super bored really quickly. That like I don't want to just be doing the same thing over and over. Like at this point, I feel like I've finally gotten to the point where I can make that the armature uh,
Hmm.
just using ball and sockets in a way that I'm happy with. That now I am starting to like, okay, I want to put a little more thought into the design.
Yeah, I love that tree,
Jesus,
dude.
look at that. Unreal.
Like, yeah, thank
Well,
you.
and the hand sketch art you did for him was incredible too,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. And
You.
so that
So
really shows your animation and like character design background.
Yeah. It's and like I said, I'm only just starting to sort of like really take that and put it into the figures. So
Mhm.
it has just been engineering for a long
Mhm.
time, which like
yeah.
I'm sitting here like, man, where was my, my high school guidance counselor to tell me to go into engineering, not just be like, oh yeah, you're good at drawing, you can be an artist. Um, but yeah, like this too, people got a kick out of this when I posted this recently.
Oh yeah,
That
crazy.
it's just
The
a
jet wings,
yep,
unreal.
Buzz Lightyear inspired, pop out wings. And this couldn't be simpler. I mean, it's three pieces and a rubber band. And the tension is pulled when you put it down together. It's the tiniest little lip that
Mhm.
just holds the wings in place. And then you just give it a little flick and they come out.
But even though it's sort of simple, it's elegant design and like I one of the really cool things to see when you're like showing how you're making something is you're tweaking things live as they're hot and like as you're sculpting it. Whereas what Brett and I have to do is we run something and like an arm doesn't clear quite right or like a
Right.
joint snaps or something. We got to go back into the software,
Yeah.
mess with the sculpt, and then run another print off. You're doing it live.
I'm so impatient that and this has only made me more so because it's like I can just have the thing. Like
Right.
I don't even plan usually. Like the fact that I had sketches for this guy before making it is
Mhm.
rarely part of the process. I mean, I'm typically just, maybe I'll have the idea, but I'm usually just like letting it flow as I'm working on the articulation,
Mhm.
and sort of building it up, as it goes. This guy, I mean, and some of these things, like this guy's been around for years at this point. That like, and he's been in my pocket. Like I'm
Yeah,
astounded that these things have held up. The head is actually a Playmobil skeleton head that I
yeah.
made a cast of,
That's
but
awesome.
while that might sound like, oh, casting resin, no, I'm using, I don't know if you've ever seen Oyumaru. There's different names for it, but it's a molding material that you can just heat up in boiling water,
Oh, whoa.
mush it around something to get your mold. And
Okay.
then, so the company, they got an adult pen, which it's hot and it does PLA and everything. But then they've got a kid's pen. And I don't know if anyone else has done anything like that yet, where and I don't know all the science behind it, but it's like a bio nylon. It's a biodegradable material,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
very low melting point. And like I'll just take scraps and you can heat those up in water, and then I'll just mush that into the mold. So that's
Amazing.
Oh,
what the
wow.
head of this is made with,
That's sick.
casting from a Playmobil guy. But then all the rest of it is, you know,
TPU, PLA,
yep. And with
right
this
on.
one, I have a TPU that matches the PLA, so you can see a slight variation where like, at
Yeah.
the elbow, that's PLA, but
Mhm.
then all of the parts building it up, everything around his body is TPU, so that it'll move, it'll flex out of its own way. Um, he's got some magnets, some nice magnets
Oh,
in the
you got
bottom of
to.
his feet.
You got to.
Yeah, and that goes back to like I love, the other interviews you guys have done, and especially Omnirez in particular. I think he and I are the same age, so like he was speaking my language with some of the the references and stuff. It's funny. I have a bunch of older brothers, so I ended up with
Okay.
a lot of hand me down '80s toys. I can't remember the guys that had the magnets in the feet.
Starcom.
Yeah, Starcom,
Yep.
which I don't know where he is, but I made a Starcom inspired guy. Like
Oh man.
that's why I went with magnets in the feet of like so many of these. This design I actually did like enough that I've made a few of the
Oh,
same
that's
thing.
very cool. That was going to be one of my questions is like, have you ever liked a design so much that you've revisited it
Yep.
multiple times and like
So
made a crew?
this I do have a little crew of these
Oh,
Oh
excellent.
Playmobil skeleton headed dudes. This
Oh,
one
I'm way into that.
this one glows in the dark.
Hell
And it
yeah.
just, I think this was probably when I hit a breakthrough of like, I mean, the ball and sockets on these are tiny,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and to get that with a 3D pen, that's just like you gotta be in time with this thing because
Mhm.
it's flowing at a certain rate. Once it's out, it's cooling at a certain rate. I mean, I think at this point I definitely have like asbestos fingers that like my fingertips, I'm touching hot PLA, and it's like I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're like the scene in Men in Black where they burn off the fingertips.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
they're not, the Federation's not going to get you.
I could probably commit some crimes with my
Yeah.
index and thumbs. Um, but yeah, it's it's just been so much fun. Like I'm constantly surprising myself. I think I'm so spoiled in that like I'm in this space by myself where no one is doing what I'm doing. I mean, and if they are, I haven't seen it. I mean, I've
Mhm.
certainly been paying attention to anyone else who's using a 3D pen. And
Mhm.
for the most part, the stuff that's risen to the surface is, the same really impressive statues that they incorporate some cool functionality and stuff into them sometimes. But as far as articulated figures, I constantly have people just being like, how did you do that? I mean, at this
Mhm.
point, I need to sit down and make like a super long video explaining it all
Please
because
do.
I have people like berating me, like, why won't you tell me how you did that? And it's like, I don't know. It's
Li-
because it's not simple to explain.
Well, and
Listen,
two, like I feel like it's such a big part of any of these creative processes is like you fuck around and you find out. It's trial and error, and you
100%.
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know working your way up from like that static dinosaur that you showed
Yeah.
of just like how do you go from drawing something on a flat surface, holding it upwards, and then drawing out from it. Like you need to work out that bit first
Yeah.
before you start adding in swing joints.
Right.
And so same thing of like I remember starting out with resin printing, like I had to work out how to do a resin head sculpt first before I started thinking of like sticking two resin pieces together. And then only then do you realize that like you get joint wear from it and like that's not
Right.
going to work. So
Right.
you do something else.
Yeah. It's
And like those mistakes along the way are really important. Like you
right.
can't necessarily jump from the beginning all the way to hyper articulated figures with like
Right.
mixed media.
Right. In thinking about trying to explain to people why I can't just like just tell you this, like you have to experience it. I came up with the analogy recently of like that's like somebody who just bought a piano being
Right.
like, teach me how to play an amazing symphony. It's
Right.
like, no, you got to learn your scales. You need to
Exactly.
sit and understand this tool. I mean, I've only gotten to this point by a lot of trial and error. Um, and not even the trial and error so much as just like understanding the medium,
Right. You've mastered, and like I really like your point about sticking to the one tool and like going for mastery on it
Yeah.
versus introducing like this crazy toolbox where you're working with all these other things. You
Yeah.
just like you got the one thing and you're pushing it constantly to the limit.
Yeah. I know not every pen has like an exposed hot end,
Hmm.
but I use that. I use like if I do some smoothing or if a piece if the socket doesn't come out just right, I can use that, reheat the piece a little bit and tighten things up sometimes. I mean, it's kind of if you don't nail it on the first go, it's kind of you got to start over because
Hmm.
it's hard to get it to line up after the fact. Um, but yeah, it's been a super fun journey. Like I said, the fact that I'm constantly sort of able to surprise myself and only more recently have been like putting the design ahead of the engineering of things.
Hmm.
Um, I got my healthy foods, guys. I
Unreal.
I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So and actually like this is some good insight, I suppose. So these are using both pens. So
Okay.
I'm making the armature with PLA and TPU, but if you just draw with more PLA or TPU over the joints, they get loose. They reheat and they lose
Yeah.
their friction. So to be able to do stuff like this, or more specifically like this and this Meatman guy, this is a TPU and PLA armature that then I'm using the low temp pen
Okay.
that I can draw over everything without sacrificing the tension on the joints. But then, you know, I also, which I think there's also some concern because at least I know the very first batches of the biodegradable plastic, some of the first stuff I've made, it has lost integrity over time and it's gotten a little crumbly. I think they changed formula maybe a couple times that I think the more recent stuff that I wouldn't have that same problem. But gotta give love to my favorite Ninja Turtle here.
For real.
This is just PLA and TPU.
That's so sick.
TPU for the front of the shell so that, you know, that it'll get out of the way of the leg a little bit.
And you even sculpted like the actual chain effect. It's not just a rope. Like listen, you have to come to Toy Pizza Expo this summer.
We got to get you to Toy Pizza.
You're coming to, and you're going to be doing a live demonstration, and everyone has to watch. We're taping them down. So there it is.
So this is
unfucking believable.
This is, you know, I couldn't afford the 1,000 toys.
12,000 toys at home.
Well, you don't. Yeah, you got it at home. You don't need them anymore.
And mine glows in the dark. Right. The white parts there.
Unreal.
But
I love it.
And
you have your own Plunderling back there too. Look at that.
Yes. Yeah. This
is fucking incredible, man. And it's so exciting to see this because I can really tell how passionate you are about this. It's not, oh, I figured out resin printing. It's, oh, I figured out I'm the only guy doing this medium. It's so nuts.
Yeah, it's wild. So here, and then in addition to just completely making my own stuff, I mean, it's tough. When I first came up with this design, my intention was I wanted to make it Glyos compatible. I think I've shown that you can make Glyos joints with it as long as you don't like. I'm using existing Glyos pieces, and either just filling in for the peg or going around a peg to make the joints. But then, you know, with how much time it takes, it's like I got to do my own thing,
right?
You know?
Yeah,
and ultimately, like I'm way happier that I just embrace my. I mean, the fact that the feet,
it's incredible, and it's so cool that you like skinned it in the different temperature plastic over the armature. That's such a cool way, and like even with Brett's like insane, what is it, 4-color printing AMS stuff, like.
Yeah,
you're drawing, as you said, as in infinite axes there.
Right.
So you get those really cool, highly organic sort of shapes that you're doing, which really fits with that character.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, I mean, at this point, I don't know if I've ever taken. I mean, like once a long time ago, I made like a car that I painted some flames on, but for the most part, there's no paint on anything I make because I have this huge array of colors and I can just do it, you know, in the colors I want it. The plastic is that color that you don't have to worry about paint chipping or sealing it or anything like that. Here's a guy that's got an existing toy pizza head.
Oh yeah.
But the rest of the figure is all, you know, hand drawn.
And with a pistol too. Like look at that ray gun.
Yeah,
it's so
he's
sharp.
got a little ray gun. He's got a little shield.
Yeah, this rules.
Hang on. So again, I love the fact that I can just make my own stuff, but a few times I've done some stuff like this where I love the name of this is the fabric is the modesty garment.
Right?
Yeah.
That Jesse has for sale sometimes. So the base under this is a hand-drawn 3D pen armature, but then at the wrists or whatever.
Yeah, you've used the boots and the hands from the Toy Pizza figure, so you wouldn't know unless like you disassembled it.
Exactly.
Unreal.
And so this is the same size as a Toy Pizza figure, but you know, and this was
fully articulated.
This was before Cray, you know, from the Sea of Daggers, before they started amping up the articulation that I was able to have him, by full ball and socket in the torso there and everything. Um,
So how long does it take to like go from okay, you like sit down with the impetus to be like, I'm gonna make a new figure.
yeah.
Is that like a weekend project? Is that like a week?
Well, I'm also like I like hyper fixate on stuff that
Sure.
like this figure. I think I did this in a night.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean that speaks to the impatience and also the obsessiveness that like
Mhm.
I sat down and it's hard to like stop in the middle of something like this and pick it up.
Right.
Like if I
Yeah.
lose momentum, I end up with something like this that doesn't have a head or feet or anything. I was very happy with the direction this was going, but
Mhm.
if I stop, it's hard to keep going
Right.
again.
And like your materials are time limited. You can't be like, I'm gonna stop halfway through drawing something and like go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I mean, especially when I'm making the armatures of things, it's like that you you got to just do it.
Okay.
There's no stopping you know, I mean, you kind of can
Mhm.
come back to it, but I think it's more that's more me that like I need to keep going until it's done.
Well,
Um,
to me, it's almost like it's like three-dimensional figure drawing or three-dimensional gesture drawing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this guy especially that I
Yeah.
was, thinking about anatomy,
Mhm.
uh, thinking about the mobility of things to be as naturalistic as I can make it at this scale and
Right.
using these materials. Um, there's this stuff is cool, something like this that's just a
Oh,
static
cool. Uh-huh.
figure. And but again, I'm embracing the materials
Right.
instead of making something that you can't tell how this is made. This could only have been made using
Hmm.
a 3D pen, and it's lightweight, but it's sturdy. I mean, that's another part of the the rabbit hole that you need to go down for yourself is understanding how long you need to hold one piece of plastic onto the other for it to bond properly. Um, it's crazy.
And to me, that's, I mean, we call this the DIY toy cast because to me, a big appeal of this stuff is being able to see the hand of the artist and like see the process that goes in. Um, you know, part of the reason, like AI produced stuff holds no sway over me because it's completely like surface. There's no evidence of the effort that went in from a
Right,
person.
right,
And like to me, that's extremely off-putting. Like
yeah,
there's no attraction for me there. It's not about the end product.
right,
It's about the work that someone went in. It's about the individuality, like whatever weird stuff they're into. Like I want to see that stuff.
right. Which I mean, it's crazy to me that like I am AI proof over here. Like
Totally.
there's no way.
Right.
Yeah, which is crazy because I've seen only more recently, like, you can have AI generate a model for you and print it.
Oh,
Sure.
And
oh, and it's getting very good. I mean,
it's amazing. Like
yeah, I
it's
mean,
like you
if
can
you,
hate on it, but
yeah,
it's
Yeah, it's
impressive.
pretty
yeah,
incredible.
Yeah,
the end result is impressive, and I remember when I first got into 3D printing and stuff, like sites like Thingiverse or Maker World, for example, when Bamboo took off, some really great stuff on there, fantastic design, some really gifted people. And now it is just soulless. It's just the
yeah,
AI shit fest. It's like half the time, like I hate when I go on there, I'm like, is this real or not? Like,
right,
I mean, it's real in the sense I can print it, but there's no did a human being make this or the clanker? You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And then over here, like you're like soul food the toy.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
just it's all stream
yeah,
of consciousness manufacturing from like you
yeah.
said, the infinite axis. It's really
Right.
impressive.
Well, and I love your guys' stuff and Desktop Vandals too. Like
Totally.
that
Yeah.
that stuff,
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the
friend
pod.
pot, even though it's coming off the printer and it's coming through a computer, there's
Yeah.
still it's so tangible the intention and the
Mhm.
unique artistry that is producing that it's like it's so exciting to me.
And
Um,
something in both of your cases, in both in your work and in Desktop Vandal stuff, is like if you go and look at your guys' sketchbooks and put it next to one of your pieces, you're like, oh, there it is. Like
yeah,
they sculpt like they draw.
right.
Um, which
Yeah,
I think is really cool to see and is evidence of, the creativity and humanity behind it.
yeah,
It's not just the tool there. It's like you, the person.
yeah, yeah. It's a compulsion for sure. There's I guess I'll show here's some more there. I did a small run of stuff that's like armature but then with a felt bodysuit over it.
I
So,
love it.
so do you know how to sew as well?
No, so no,
Okay.
I need to do that still, but
Okay.
I'm just
Me
using
too.
fabric glue,
Okay.
Oh,
and I
great.
mean I'm basically doing everything you would do for sewing up until using a needle and thread, and then I'm
Okay.
just using the glue instead, which especially with like fleece and stuff, if
Yeah.
you pinch it in there, I mean it bonds it as good
Mhm.
as thread would. Um,
Yeah, I really like this. This remind me of the Luggins from Acid Rain when they did these felted suits.
that was exactly what inspired it. That's
Oh,
exactly what
awesome.
inspired it. Yeah,
Well, and it's fun.
I'm
Like,
glad you said.
well, I like the stuff that Kit did with those. Like Kit Lau's stuff with those are really fun, but they're almost like unnerving in a way where
Yeah,
yours is like, oh, this is the ultimate Muppet action
right,
figure.
right. Mine it
Like I
makes
want
more
to play
sense
with
for
that more.
yeah. With his stuff, there's too much of a it's jarring the hyper
Yeah,
detail of the heads or whatever. With them,
right.
this like kind of fluffy suit. I mean, I love it.
Oh, I did too.
It's why I made this stuff. But it. I mean, that was like a lightning strike when I first saw those. I was like, oh, I could do that on my stuff. And, you know, to people who don't understand it, they see my stuff and think it looks crappy
Mhm.
because you can see the hand of the artist is like poking you in the eye, basically. Um, where that was a time where I was like, oh, I can kind of hide that from people, and I only have to detail the head and the hands and stuff. Here's a little like this lion guy.
Oh, that rules.
Exact same process for this,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
I put a little stuffing in there.
Oh
So
yeah.
I was calling them action stuffies.
But to
Um,
me too, like that you showing that Michelangelo or like the toy pizza guy, like the one that I've made for myself will always be sort of more special to me than one that I can go out and buy.
yeah,
And like it's so cool to have a level of skill that lets you do that of like, oh, I'll make my own. And
yeah,
yeah, it might not look like the one that's factory produced in China, but like it's my one that I made myself, and there's like not another one out there that's like it.
yeah. Well, and for all the people who look at my stuff and don't get it, when I have guys like you who are like, I know what you're doing and I understand like you're kind of crazy. Like that's pretty wild. It like,
Mhm.
it
Oh,
sends me.
oh, me and
Nice.
Gordon, every time you post something, me and him are like immediately sending it to each other. Like, dude, you got to see what he made. Holy shit.
I
Yeah.
can't tell you how much that means. When you guys first said that, I was like, it puts so much wind in the sails, really.
That's awesome. And so do you think like the direction that you're kind of pushing in right now is really like pushing the individual character designs now that you have the engineering sort of on lock, or like wh where do you see this stuff sort of going if you have any sense of direction?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that sums it up well. I kind of, these guys are exactly the same underneath, basically.
Hmm.
That I like that form factor. I like what it can do, and now it's sort of a matter of, I'll still always be, um, how much do I want this to be able to move
Right.
versus how much do I want the design to, you know, limit it.
Yeah.
I can play with that balance and make something that the this is set in a little bit more. It's got some detail that gets in the way. Where this, I can get him all the way up there. Both, which actually that one, the tree guy, he doesn't have. This has a double.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Oh
That's a
my God.
barbell that that it's yeah it's
But to me, that also like makes sense with the respective characters of you want the anatomical dude to be able to do like crazy acrobatic
yeah
poses, whereas the tree dude's like made out of a tree, so he's going to be a little bit more like heavy set and
yeah
like restricted in his motions.
right Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is like at the end of the day, I love to draw, and that's what this is to me.
Mhm.
It's this, and I love action figures. So the fact that I'm drawing action figures, I'm you know forging down a path that there really isn't any trail ahead of me at all. Um, I can kind of take inspiration from everything and
Mhm.
and melt it through the pen and see what comes out the other side. It's yeah, it's and like you said, the fact that there is so much variation is part of what keeps it interesting to me. That
Totally.
while I like this form factor and it's I think as far as if I'm going to like make the push to be selling stuff in any way, I think I do want some sort of you know consistent vibe at least,
Mhm.
where doing stuff like this was in that pursuit of sort of oops he just broke, in pursuit of that modern off the shelf hyper articulated toy. That this one I put, I don't know if you can
Oh
see, like
Yeah,
yeah,
ankle rockers on
ankle
ankle
there.
rockers.
rocker, and then
Right.
the rotation at the ankle there.
Mhm.
uh, this I have not been able to. Well, so I made this guy a while ago when I was on that Luggins trip with
Yeah.
you know putting, okay, I can put fabric over it, I can do this. But this one was different because the fur allows the everything to be hidden. You lose some articulation
Right.
Right.
with a full bodysuit. Where
Right.
these pieces of fur are just wrapped around the individual parts.
Okay.
So this is way more articulated. And then this guy I just made pretty recently, and I'm like, I can't put this thing down. It's
I
so
love him.
fun.
He's
It,
perfect.
I mean,
Holy
he's
shit, look at that articulation.
like, there's nothing in the way of this guy
Mhm.
moving in any single way you could think of. Like you can mush him down into a tiny ball. He's got the barbells in his
Mhm.
shoulders too, wire for the tail, just because I can. But like something like this that you know no like most people would have no you just have no clue how this was made.
Right.
There isn't really anything like this that I've seen.
Mhm.
um I catch, I mean, I'm very proud of my algorithm because it's like it's healthy stuff. It's like just
Nice.
cool inspiration from all types of different art forms that I really want to at some point. I mean, sewing is one thing that I feel like could add to my stuff a lot. Needle felting, the
Oh
like
yeah.
really
Mhm.
cool stuff that people are
Yeah.
making with
Yeah.
needle felting, to have a hand drawn armature under that.
Right.
That's been stirring around in my brain for a while.
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean, it's the fact that every time I sit down, it could be completely different, experience and output than what I did last time is it's super exciting. Um,
That's
yeah,
awesome. And so do you still regularly go back and like just do drawing and sketches in your sketchbook apart from like the 3D pen stuff, or has that sort of supplanted drawing in
no,
2D?
no, I mean, I love just mechanical pencil and paper
Okay.
till the day I die.
Excellent.
In the process shots I showed of this guy,
Right.
I Procreate on the iPad
Okay.
is. Do you mess with that at all?
I don't have an iPad yet. Like
Uh,
I am
the same way he's
I
pressuring you to get different 3D printers.
well
Do that.
it's so weird. Like I do all my sculpting with my mouse. Like
Yeah,
I'm drawing with a mouse
right.
to do my sculpting,
But
which I know isn't the best, like most efficient way,
it works
but
for
it's
you.
just
Yeah.
it's just my process.
But
But I
just
am greatly interested.
but just for 2D drawing is what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. That the software Procreate. I mean, I'll do a sketch on paper, take a picture of it, and
Hmm.
then the infinite trials that you can do with color, line weight, all this stuff. I and not to mention, as opposed to the crates, in my parents' attic somewhere of all my sketchbooks from growing up.
I still have
Now
that.
my iPad, if that was the equivalent, it would be I'd be surrounded by sketchbooks.
Right.
So I for as sort of as much as I'm not trying to use computers very much,
Mhm.
how natural it is to draw on an iPad. I really love that. But I got kids too, so like we just post up at the table and have drawing sessions and stuff.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, that's definitely, you know, where I'll always go back to. And the battery doesn't run out on a pencil, you know.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I that's always my first love is just drawing.
And so you brought up like drawing with your kids at the table. That's actually something I wanted to ask is like, does what they're into ever influence like how you're designing stuff? Like you're making these hyper articulated, like pretty delicate, unique pieces of art.
Yeah,
Are you cool just like handing them off and being like, sure, you can play with a monkey or
it
whatever?
depends. I mean, the monkey, I'm definitely like, just be careful with it,
Okay.
but like I'll let them play with it. Um, and I actually, let's see. I mean, this wasn't even very 3D pen centric, but I gutted like an old rabbit stuffed animal
Mhm.
and put just a straight wire armature in it and made a labubu
Oh, cool. Yeah.
that I used the 3D pen to make the face and the hand.
Ah, that's
But
awesome. We have Labubu at home. We don't need to
yeah,
go to
yeah,
the store.
exactly. And it's so funny. Like I was so
That
proud.
yeah, that's the loose boo boo.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right. Labubu. I was so proud that like my daughter didn't just like blow it off. She was like, "No,
Right.
that's cool." She's like,
Yeah, it is
the
cool.
kids at school might have a Labubu, but like I have one too.
Yeah.
The fact that it passed the test for her, I was like, "That's sweet."
Hell yeah, that's super
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean I mean I also got them totally hooked on like Ninja Turtles and stuff like
Okay,
that. So
excellent.
they love. I mean they're super into whatever I make. It's such an interesting experiment that like they're growing up watching me do this,
Hmm.
and it won't be till they're teenagers or adults that I'll kind of see what effect that has had. I mean
Right.
I let them use the kids pen and
Oh,
they
awesome.
already have probably more of an understanding than most kids who have ever gotten one,
Hmm.
just because they're watching me use it in the way I'm using it. So that'll be interesting to see, kind of what they'll come up with to do with it as time goes on. Um, but yeah, it's. I mean, they certainly, they're my first audience at all times. Like,
Excellent.
they're always like, "Oh, do you have a new video yet?" Like they'll see me make the thing,
Hmm.
but they like seeing the video and giving me their feedback on whether or not I sound like a goofball or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's fun stuff.
That's awesome.
Speaking more of some of the so this I think is one of my favorite like bought
Oh
action
yeah.
figures of all time. This is the Annex 2077 and Toy Pizza collab.
Right.
Mhm.
And when I first saw this thing, I had to go.
Oh, you made him a little buddy.
Yeah, and I
A
made
Yeah, the
deputy.
deputy.
Right.
every piece of this that can come off the same way this one does. Like it's
Amazing.
Okay.
it's all individual. The little
Oh,
guns come out of the holsters. Like this guy is, I
Jesus God.
so you completely reverse engineered the thing.
oh yeah, yep. I mean, and that's another thing when I have people asking me like, oh, how do you do that? It's like, not to sound like a jerk, but it's like if you can't tell to a certain extent by looking at it, I don't think me telling you is going to help you be able to make it. I mean, we
Right. I
kind of
mean, right. That's sort of
touched
the
on it.
process of, you learn by really closely observing stuff you have from your collection,
Right.
taking it apart, like, OmniRes, or I feel like a ton of the guys we've talked to talked about taking apart their GI Joe. So like, was that ever a thing that you did? Did you like take apart
I
your
mean,
toys
when I
or?
was like, I've done more customizing, as
Okay.
a nerdy adult than I ever did when I was really little. I think one thing that comes to mind was you remember the Chuck Norris had a line of action figures,
Oh yeah.
The
and
Karate Commandos or whatever?
yeah, that was like some hand me down from somebody else, but it broke
Okay. Yeah.
cleanly. It broke cleanly though. so I could put it back together, and then it was like battle damage that I could like punch it and it would come apart.
Yeah.
Also, there were the great test
crash test dummies.
That those were cool, that you could press the button and the arms and the limbs would all pop off. That I think, you know, those things definitely were in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's funny because I was kind of just you know, I was just a consumer of toys for a long time until I got my hands on the pen. And
awesome.
And like I said, you know, while I wanted to get to a 3D printer, I mean, at this point, I've never looked back. I mean, if I get one at some point, it'll just be to, you know, augment what I'm doing with the pen. The pen will be the main tool, as opposed to the way it was invented was for the pen to sort of, you know, augment 3D prints.
Right.
For me, it'll be the other way around. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Brett, did you have any other questions on your question list? I know we're reaching your time. You got a hard stop.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think we covered all of it miraculously. It's I just gotta say, I'm really speechless. I mean, I feel like it's just like the second coming of Jim Henson, you know, but instead of
Yeah.
felt and puppets, it's like the most insane action. Like we have action figures at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do have to bust this out after you.
Unreal.
Yes.
Yeah, the prophecy is fulfilled.
That's I that couldn't be higher praise from,
Yeah.
you know.
No, truly, it's miraculous. Every time you post something, I'm geeked. I'm so jazzed to see what you're putting out there. And it's the biggest sin is none of it's for sale. I'm just like, well, fuck. Like,
well, I mean, you know, they'll get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting there. And I mean, at this point, I think, because I don't want to not have any of this stuff. Like,
No, I get it. Yeah.
So I almost feel like I'm gonna have to do like you tell me which one you want, and then I'll you
Clone
know,
it.
Make
commission
clone
it, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I do really love the insane idea of you just doing this live for 8 hours in Beacon,
And
New York,
I
just
can
in
and
the
I
heat.
would. No, I mean, I've been like, I think I'm gonna start a Patreon to get me to.
Oh, we're locked on. We're
Yeah.
gonna pimp this thing hard. I love
Yeah.
that idea.
Because
You can go to gallery shows. We're gonna get you a decon, like
Dude.
fuck soft
Well,
vinyl. Who gives a shit? My man's doing it live.
yeah, I actually convinced the 3D pen company like a decade ago to send me to decon.
Oh, really?
Fuck
And
yeah.
I think I went like 2 or 3 years in a row, and I think people, because I had the company banner behind me, they weren't looking at my stuff
Right.
the same way they would look at other people's stuff. That it was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, you're just repping this device. Where I was sitting there making stuff all day, and I had a bunch of the stuff that I made. I got to meet Matt Doughty, which was,
Oh, holy shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
like, he was one of the first people that, like, when he looked at my stuff and he was like, whoa, I know what you're doing.
Right.
I was like, you know, I mean, I'm still like geeked out about that. And I made him a figure that he traded me for, that like, I'm still, you know,
That's
riding
awesome.
high off of that.
He's the best.
Oh,
Just
man.
what an incredible wizard to lead us through the crazy life
Dude,
of toy creation.
I mean, it's no surprise that guy is, you know, everybody's North Star in all of this. He, like, just the few minutes I spent with him, he built me up so much that, like, it's probably responsible for me, you know, keeping on with it the way I have.
Well,
but
that
yeah,
was like,
I mean, yeah.
I was gonna say that was like the first time Gordon and I met was at the first year I went for Toy Pizza Expo, and I had met Matt. I had Jesse DeStacy of Toy Pizza introduced me to Matt, and then Gordon and I were having a really lovely afternoon after the show talking and you get to know each other. And then Matt just comes on with this wizard walk to Gordon's car to return everything and is just hyping us up incessantly the entire conversation. And it was like, that was the most insane conversation ever. And then now here Gordon and I are almost 3 years later doing this and all these other insane toy projects. So he really does just speak it into creation. It's kind of miraculous.
But he also
amazing.
has that sensitivity in that eye. So like he noticed, you know, what you were doing at your table there because like he's on that same creative wavelength himself of like he gets what the work is that goes into making this stuff.
And again, like at that time, you know, my stuff wasn't maybe quite as impressive as what I'm doing now. And just like I think because I wasn't an individual creator with my banner behind me, I think a lot of the other makers were just kind of like, all right, walking
Yeah.
by. Where when he stopped and was like, dude, this stuff is wild. It was huge. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think at that point I was probably too a little too early to
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
to have the impact at one of those shows. Where now I think if I was sitting there and doing it live, like that's the other thing too, is I can make an articulated figure over the course of a few hours and I lock in. I'd be posted up, and people could see me start it, do a couple laps, and by the time they come back, I'd have something finished. So I think that's kind of my goal for this upcoming year. Is I need to be there for sure.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
I would
awesome to
love that. I
see.
would love to see that. That would be really cool. You got to get like the ASMR video going where it's like the pops and clicks of the pen and nothing else, and
Yeah, see,
you'll just hit it big on YouTube.
yeah, that's the tricky part. Is I don't know. It's not the best thing to listen to that.
No, no.
Like it that part's a little prohibitive, I think, for people to relax to listen to. My poor wife, she's got to hear that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
me and Gordon, like we like the sound of the fax machine play, so that's
right, right,
good.
yeah. Or people say it sounds like dental tools, which
Oh
they
well,
Yeah, there you
I'm no
I know
stranger to that.
right,
That's I just did that for 9 hours today, so
right,
I'm ready to go back into the dungeon.
yep, yeah. So it's cool, man. I the prospect of getting together with you guys in person is super cool.
Man, that'd be
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, hopefully that's in our future.
Yeah, I'd love that, man. Gordon, do you have anything else for our guest tonight, or?
No, let's do plugs. So, Lou, you want to give where people can find you on Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, wherever else?
So on Instagram, Lousmer, Lousmer, and on TikTok, my company is Plasticity Productions,
Very
which
nice.
not to go off on another thing, but I actually came up with that name before using a 3D printing pen, and then I was like, I started going with this, and I was like, oh wow, that's
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, check me out there.
Awesome. Brett, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Aegis_station. And, the shop is in hiatus mode while we prep for next year's festivities. Gordon, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Vladimir the Badimir and here on YouTube with the DIY Toycast. And until next time, thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.